Namo Dida Fa, good morning. Thank you for joining me for a daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The second mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I vow to cultivate loving kindness and learn ways to work for the well-being of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I will practice generosity by sharing my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in real need. I'm determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others. I will respect the property of others, but I will prevent others from profiting from human suffering or the suffering of other species on Earth. Our Dharma reading this morning is Death, a Cause for Brightness by Ajahn Amaro. This is from Beginning Our Day by the monastics of Abhayagiri Monastery. There is a skillful and beautiful Buddhist tradition for families and friends of someone who has passed away. The family members and friends come to the monastery and make offerings that support the monastic community. They receive punya, merit from these offerings, and they dedicate that merit to the deceased in whatever state of being he or she may have moved on to. In countries like Thailand, Sri Lanka, and for Buddhists who live in the West, there are certain occasions when family and friends come to make these offerings, some short period of time after the death, then perhaps 6 months after the death, and then the year anniversary of the person's passing away. In the chanting that is done on those occasions, we don't recite verses like, "Don't worry, he's gone off to be with the angels forever. The Lord is looking after him and he'll be happy up in heaven with the bunnies and the blackberries." Rather, we chant in a more reflective way, in terms of the wholesome, unwholesome, and neutral dhammas, the internal and external dhammas, which comprise the different mind states and qualities of experience. Also, for those left behind, there are recollections such as, all that arises passes away. Whatever comes into being disintegrates, and in its passing, there's peace. They're not deliberately consoling on an emotional level, but very realistic. Yes, life came to be, and now it's ended. It's dissolved. This acknowledges the sadness when someone close to us dies without wallowing in that sadness. At the same time, we don't suppress it, trying to sugar over everything by thinking she's gone to a better place. Well, maybe she has, or maybe she hasn't. In the Buddhist tradition, there's a great deal of realism around the process of death. And it's important for us all to cultivate this quality of realism. What we know is that a life came into being, and now it's ended. That much we can be absolutely sure of. There's a natural feeling of loss and sadness, a sense that the person was around, a friend close to us, but now gone. Even the Buddha experienced the loss of those close to him. There's a famous passage that takes place after the Buddha's two chief disciples, Sariputta and Mahamoggallana, had passed away. The Buddha says to the gathered Sangha, "The assembly seems empty now, that Sariputta and Mahamoggallana are no longer here." So even a fully enlightened being like the Buddha can know and sense the loss of friends and companions. That's only natural and to be expected. It's realistic. The customs of gathering together, taking precepts, making offerings, and dedicating the merit to benefit an individual are ways of taking that feeling of sadness and loss on the occasion of a person's death and uniting it with an act which is intrinsically wholesome, a brightening act of generosity and kindness. Acts of generosity and dedicating merit bring happiness, brightness, and invigoration to the mind and the heart. Over time, a succession of gatherings, making offerings, and creating wholesome karma in relationship to that person slowly transforms the occasion of their death from being something associated with an experience of loss and absence into something that is much more a cause for brightness and happiness to arise. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you for joining me this morning.